everyone. Welcome back to episode 31 of Talkoffamepod podcast. I'm Kylie. Today we have on the wonderful actress and assistant director, Mallory Ivy. Thanks for coming on, Mallory. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me, Kylie. It's great to be here.
Of course. So over the last 2 years, we've been in isolation. What is something that you did over the last 2 years that we had time to do before?
A lot of things. When you're not working, you have a lot more free time to explore hobbies that you never thought you would do before.
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing for me was just getting to learn and actually dive into my craft. And I started learning Russian because I thought that would be, I love languages, and Russian was one that I always wanted to learn, but knew learning Cyrillic was going to be really difficult, learning the alphabet. And with no job, I had a lot more time on my hands to really dive into it. So, yeah, I picked that up, took a lot of classes, got to meet a lot of people, Zoom. Um, really opened the doors to a whole other world of possibilities. So I loved having some time off.
Yeah, me too. Like for everyone, this is like a whole free time since we couldn't go outside. We could always stay indoors and we couldn't
Right.
do nothing. Like I didn't know what to do with myself, like being in quarantine. So I learned a language as well because I was like bored and
Oh,
everything.
cool.
I learned what was it, French, I believe. I was doing French, I believe.
I love that. So I also speak French. Je parle français assez bien.
Oh my god, what did you say?
I speak French pretty well.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like are you kind of fluent in Russian too, or you just kind of starting to learn that?
Still starting to learn. Like I'm probably more towards like an A1, A2 fluency right now. It's definitely touch and go because I'll do have a really great spurt of studying every single day, and then work will hit, and then I'll forget to study, and then I'll lose a lot of my vocabulary. So I hope to be better about it. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to be
Yeah, that's
better.
how I am.
Yeah.
That's how I am. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this every single day. Then a couple days later, I'm like, well, I didn't do that, so it's
Yeah,
not my fault.
right.
And so, like, since we had like a lot of free time lately, is there any kind of shows or movies that you kind of binge watch that you may or
Oh
may
my
not
God,
see?
so many.
Same.
What have I not seen? I guess the most memorable ones that I've been binge watching, does it have to be within like 2020, or does it also include 2021?
You can use 2021, either one.
Okay. I guess like the ones that stick out to me is like Dead to Me, Ozark. I watched all of Ratchet in one night, the miniseries with Sarah Paulson.
Oh, really?
I loved it. I really like those dark psychosis sort of shows. So I really loved how that whole show went, and just how involved she was with that character. Lupin, I've been watching a lot of. I'm really behind on Call My Agent, but I've been kind of watching that when I need something a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah.
What about you? What have you been watching?
Oh, those are many that I can't keep track.
Right.
Like I'm starting to watch Grey's Anatomy now. Like I watched only season 11. I'm at now like I started in August, and now I'm
Yeah.
like Grey's fanatic. I can't. That's really
Yeah.
the only thing I talk about nowadays is Grey's
Mhm.
Anatomy. The first show I watch it all day, every day. Like I just can't get
Oh,
the show.
yeah. You've started down the rabbit hole. Like when I started watching Grey's when I was in college, and I told myself a certain season I was going to stop at because I knew I was going to be so obsessed. So I'm so behind. I haven't watched, I think it's like season 11 or season 13 that I actually stopped. So I'm very behind.
Yeah, and I'm on like seasons. I just started season 7 like last week. So I'm like, ugh.
Oh,
I was literally sobbing like end of season 5, a little bit season 6. I was like sobbing. I'm like, oh, why did you do this to me? Why am I watching this? Like,
oh yeah. You hate yourself at the end of every single episode thinking, why did I do this to myself? Why am I watching another episode of just tragedy, and then you want to watch more? Like
yeah,
you do it to yourself. It's
yeah. And I
wonderfully.
also been watching, what is it called? Um, Bobby Kennedy for President. I just finished that. It's
What's
about
that?
Bobby Kennedy. It's about
Okay.
like the Kennedys, like their lives, and it's mostly about like Robert Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy. They call him
Mhm.
Bobby. And so it's kind
Oh.
of about his life. I just finished that. It's really good. It's on Netflix. It's really good. Like
Mm.
I just finished it. I love basically all those history, like true stories and all that. Basically do all those stuff.
You
And like
might
I
like the Great.
basically like what was that?
You might like The Great. It's on Hulu.
I never heard of it. I have to look at it. And so I've been binging Patrick Dempsey movies also.
Oh, that makes sense.
You thought of Mac, look, who doesn't love Patrick Dempsey? Like, I mean,
Right.
Patrick Dempsey is one of my biggest idols. Like, he's the one reason why I do this. So I was like, why not? Let's binge watch all of his movies or whatever. Why not? That's, my
Mhm.
parents get, I'm literally don't, I can show you, I show you an example of how much I watch Patrick Dempsey. So, like, when I came upstairs, my mom came upstairs, she walked in the room. I was watching like one of his movies or shows. I honestly can't remember what I was watching. And she looked and she was like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "Oh, this movie or whatever." And he's like, "Oh wow, you're doing this again?" Like,
Oh my gosh.
I have a lot of free time, so what? Use it.
Right, right. It's studying, mom.
Yeah, it's studying. Yeah, I gotta learn. This is a way of learning.
Yeah. And if you like somebody's work, I think it's one of the greatest honors is to continue watching what they do and see how they've grown in their career and all that.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. So as we're kind of talking about television and that like that, as I kind of mentioned before, you're an actress and assistant director. What made you want to kind of start doing that?
Yeah, assistant directing kind of fell into my lap after my first gig. I was a stand-in in my first gig, and then a friend of mine was, I want to say Leah was directing, or I think she was directing the short. But essentially, she kind of just threw me in as a PA, and she's like, "Hey, like you'll do really well in this. Like if you want to continue in the industry, this is a great way to just get your feet wet and continue working." And so I liked PAing and got a better idea of what filming is and how things work behind the camera. And then I was supposed to learn on another feature that Leo was working on. It was called It's Just a Game. I was supposed to start as an electric, so rigging lights, things of that nature. And they needed an AD. And Leah's like, nope, Mallory's gonna be a great AD. Just go for it. And I had never done anything like that. I had no clue what it entailed and essentially was just thrown into the water to swim. And I absolutely loved it. It takes a lot of organization. It takes a lot of balancing different hats. And that was my second crew job. And I really haven't I try to take on as much AD work as I possibly can when it comes to crew stuff, just because I like being in that seat of overseeing things and making sure things are running smoothly. And I feel more comfortable in that position than anything else.
Yeah, like did he guys kind of push you and be like, "Hey, you're doing this. I don't care what you say." They got to push you in.
Right. No, yeah, 100%. It was really thrown into my lap and they're like, you're ADing now. And I said, what do you mean? They're like, no, you're ADing now. Somebody said that you'd be a great AD. And I said, who? And it's Leah Hudsmith. Leah. So
You're like,
I was
okay.
really frustrated in the moment and I was very thankful in the end.
Yeah, you're like at first you're probably like, "I'm screwed. I've never done this."
Very, very, I was terrified, mortified. And of course, like you can't say that to the director that's hiring you. And so I'm going on Google and researching like what does an AD do? What's the role of an AD? And I've seen ADs work and I reached out to some of the ADs that I had worked with of like, hey, like do you have any advice? Like how do I make sure that this goes as well as it possibly can? And of course, like everyone that I ever reached out to was so, so supportive. The whole DGA community is incredible. But it is a lot of hard work. And I think one day it'll give me a heart attack.
For sure.
Yeah. So I've kind of transitioned lately into production coordinating, which is a little bit different. It's just a little bit more different tasks. And I like that a little bit more than ADing, honestly. But they're each different in their own way. They each keep a set running as best as they can. So it's lovely.
Yeah, that's how I was like because
Yeah.
like every like I for the last couple of years, people always mention to me, like my family especially, that I'll be a great journalist since I knew everything going on in industry, sports, in terms of everything. And they'll be
Mhm,
like, Kylie, you be a great journalist. I'm like, all right, I never took it seriously, but okay, thanks for the compliment. And so like I was a very scared, shy kid with anxiety and depression battling. And so
mhm.
I was kind of scared because I was a very shy kid. I was like, how is a shy kid supposed to do a podcast? Like, how is,
Right.
because you're supposed to be very talkative. Like, how am I supposed to do that? And so during the pandemic, I kind of grown out of my comfort zone and all those things, took care of myself since there's a lot of times I did a lot of things I could try to keep myself entertained. And
Mhm.
so, like when I in April last year, I was like, why not just do this? Like, why not? Like it just hit
What's
me
the
that
worst that can happen,
yeah,
right?
seriously, it's worse than that happens that you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. That's the worst
Right.
possibility. Like and then like now I'm still doing this almost a year later. Like it could be better, really.
I love it. I think and that's the best thing and, like, the boldest thing, like, props to you for really, like, jumping off the cliff and saying, "You know what? I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm gonna listen to the advice of everyone and believe in myself and trust my gut and go for it and do something that's out of my comfort zone and then keep at it," which is incredible because you are doing something that is awesome, that people do love. People love talking to you. You're an incredible personality. So that's incredible, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. I mean, so much. And I was like a nervous wreck doing this since I was like, how is a like I started when I was 14. So I'm 15 now, but I started when I was 14. And so I was like, how is a 14-year-old girl living in a small town in Pennsylvania gonna do this? Like how like I like what did I do? Like what did I use? Like what did I do to prepare? And I had no
Mhm.
idea. So I literally went to my sister's house, Kara. And she does all those thyroid healing stuff. She's very good with that and all those things. And I was like, Kara, what did I do? You know, I just said what I do.
Mhm.
And so I was trying to get her advice. I was like, I couldn't stop asking questions. I'm like, Kara, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to name my account? Like, what do you want me to do? And she basically made the account for me and did everything
Yeah.
all the work for me when I first started. So I was like, luckily I have my sister with me, so I can be like, I get some advice and her help me out and
Right.
everything. I also have two journalists in my family from my local news station. That's kind of where my it's kind of like a gene a little bit,
Yeah.
like for family. So I was like, at least I have some people in my family that I can just watch the news sometimes and get some inspiration when I need it or something.
That's awesome.
And so, like, you played a role in the movie Survivor Girls, was that right?
Yes.
What was your experience doing that?
Crazy. We it was so we started Survivor Girls, if I'm remembering correctly, we started in 2019, and then the pandemic cut it off. So we had to split it into 2 legs, and we just wrapped in October of this year, if I'm remembering correctly, and it was just a whole whirlwind of an experience, but I loved it, like, to this day, probably one I hate to say what my favorite experience is because I get on a set and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like, I love this character, I love this crew, I love everyone," but definitely one of the most unique experiences I've ever had. It was a set of so many women, led it was a very, like, women-led film, which was the intention, and for that, it was just so supremely powerful, and led by, like, our fearless leader, Daniel Bamberg and, Tabitha Boyd, and they were just so supportive of the creative process that, like, it was just a tremendous gift, and all of us we all got sick on set one time, I accidentally snorted apple cider vinegar through my nose, and just that made me sick, and then, I heard, like we went through so much stuff, together that, like, we really became a family by the end of it, and, I cannot we have a group chat together, and I cannot wait to see that family again, so
Oh, I love it.
tremendous experience, yeah, I'm very excited for it to come out, we have a trailer. dropping, I wanna say January 21st?
Oh, really?
Yeah, watch Daniel Bamberg listen to this and be like,
Yeah,
but
there's no spoiling. Like,
yeah, I think the trailer comes out January 21st is like our official like big trailer. So I'm very
yeah,
excited for that.
yeah, I'm so excited to watch it. But like, what made you come with the idea of spitting apple cider vinegar on your nose? What made you get the idea of doing that?
So I blame it on Daniel Bamberg. He was our director. He had the idea to put all of the female leads into a cabin together, which putting six, I think it was six of us, six women into a cabin together is going to be chaos, right? It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. We all got along together, which says a lot about his casting. But I don't know what inspired it. It was either Ariana Livingston or Laura had the idea of us taking shots of apple cider vinegar. I don't know why. I don't know why we thought that was going to be delicious, but we did, and most of everyone I think like diluted it or did something to it, but I took it straight. But then somebody said something, it was probably Alicia, um, said something that made us all laugh, and I just couldn't help it, and it just came right out my nose. It was horrible. It was like first day of set, and so I'm just coughing up a lung, and I was like, "You sound really bad. What's going on?" Don't worry about it. Just snorted some apple cider vinegar up my nose. So yeah, it goes down in history as the grossest moment of my life.
For sure, that would be if I ever did that. I'd be like, okay, I'm screwed. People are going to use
Oh,
this against me one of these days. So I get into a fight.
right. No, yeah, I will never, never touch apple cider vinegar again.
I wouldn't either. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But do you have anyone that you look up to in the industry as like an actress or like an assistant director?
Oh my gosh, so many people. Yeah, so many people. I think just really, um, there's a lot of people that I look up to, and a lot of it comes down to like, of course, there's a lot of people that you would say like, oh, they're a wonderful actor and da 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 da. But I think for me, what it comes down to is, of course, talent and the what they put into their work, but also who they are as a person outside of their work
Mhm.
and what they do when they're not on set. Because especially like your A-listers, your B-listers, they're working a lot.
Yeah.
They have a lot on their plate. They're going set to set, back to back, and burning the candle at both ends. So what they do with that time outside of that is very, very precious. And so for somebody to give back to a community, or feel very passionately about something like about the homeless community, or I know like Scarlett Johansson has gone out to help with like the Jane Goodall Institute,
Mhm.
um, things of that nature, like people that really give back, and still have time or find time to still love on the world around them. I think that is an actor that I look up to. Um, and then of course, like love their family because mental health is really important, and taking care of their own mental health is really important too. So an actor that Zach Levi spoke at, uh, was it San Diego Con? That like, of course, people are wanting to ask him questions like, "Oh, like tell us about your career," and he's like, "Hey, let's talk about mental health." I think that's wonderful. Like that's an actor that I look up to, is somebody that will do more than just the work, um, and that enjoys their job too. So that's a long rambling answer, but
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I'm the same exact way. Like I dealt with many things from mental health. Once quarantine started, my mental health went a toll. From it went from up here to down here. And
Mhm,
so last year, no, was it last year? Like maybe in late 2020, I'll say.
mhm,
And like my anxiety got bad. I had anxiety my entire life. I had this since I
yeah,
was a kid. Like since it came from my mom has it, my sister has it, so it's kind of genes a little bit. And so
yeah,
my daddy got really bad. I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorder. It was that bad. I used to cry myself to sleep every night.
mm,
And so like I was a mess. It was a worst, like it was the worst thing I ever had experienced in my life. Like I never experienced anything tougher than that. And so
Yeah.
it was like a big toll on me that I really wanted to end my life because it was that bad.
Mhm.
And I didn't tell anyone I wanted to. I wasn't going to, but I just kind of wish I did. I never told anyone. I just kept to myself. It's like I was like, why should I talk about this? It's my matter, not everyone else's. Like I never really told people about it because like I didn't want people to worry about me. Like I didn't want people to call me every day and be like, Kylie, you okay? Like you good? Like you want me to come over? Like I
Yeah.
just don't like I don't want to grab people's attention. I don't like being center of attention. So I just kept to myself. And
Yeah.
like that was before the podcast started. So I was like, then I got on medication in what was it, April of last year? And so after last year and after when I got on medication, I became like better after that. My anxiety, things of depression are all gone now. So I'm luckily I still deal with anxiety and depression, but now I'm just kind of all free now, thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you're feeling better. I know that I don't think the pandemic was good for anyone, but definitely like that feeling of isolation is definitely justified. Like I don't doubt that it was extremely, extremely hard. But I'm glad that you're feeling better, which is awesome. And I'm sure the podcast even helped a little bit because you get to meet a ton of different people and share your story, which is awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people benefit from hearing your story too.
No,
I
thank you
was
so
very
much.
bold of you to share.
Thank you so much. So, like, as we're kind of talking about this, so what is advice for kind of younger generations that would be in the industry one day, or just are trying to like are kind of in the industry but want to be big in the industry?
Yeah. Um, Kind of, yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. It's not linear. It's not for the faint of heart. It's definitely, and even like just be sure that like you can keep that soft heart and keep empathy and love. But sometimes you have to develop a thick skin because you will be told no. There are going to be people that aren't very kind to deal with. But you just got to keep pushing through. Like if this is something that you really, really want to do and like in your heart of hearts, you want to do it, um, it's worth it. It's worth every single no. It's worth fighting for. And just remind yourself when you're down or you're thinking about like, ugh, I have an audition at 2 in the morning that I need to turn around by 6 in the morning. Remind yourself why you're doing it.
Mhm, for sure.
um, it's you can't do it for the money.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can't do it for the money. You gotta do it for the people that you get to work with, it for the messages that you tell, for any number of reasons, but, um, really just keep cracking at it. It could be a year, it could be 5 years, it could be 20 years, I don't know, but it'll be definitely be worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Like even like when I started this whole thing, I always felt like I'm not gonna get big. I want to be big. Like I want to be an A-lister. I want to be big. Like that's
Yeah,
always like my dreams to be big, be friends. Like all my dreams come true. I want to be friends with my favorite people, like all my idols and everything. And
yeah,
that's a whole nother story I can tell on a
yeah,
different episode. But like when I first started, like I got no's when I asked you to come on the podcast. I got no's, and it was hard. Like that's how you
yeah,
have to live. Like everyone has to deal with no's in their life, and I
mhm,
like kind of dealt with this. Time went on and got more no's. And so even if it's something that I really want, I had to deal with this so bad. Like it's hard, really difficult, but like you have to get through
yeah,
it. Like that's really the big part of industries that you have to deal with no's.
mhm.
It's those no's are just very important, but also very kind of hurtful, I'll say.
Right, and I think it shows the resilience of a creative that not a lot of people see,
Mhm.
because I think and a lot of, creatives can agree that one of the hardest questions to hear is like, "Oh, like, have you done or talked to anybody that I know?" Well, like, we're always pushing for that, of course, and we're always working, we're always doing something behind the scenes, we're always sending emails out, we're always reaching for the next job, for the next interview, for the next audition, so just because we haven't hit whatever spotlight somebody expects us to meet doesn't mean that we're not doing wonderful things.
Mhm.
And I think that's something really important to note is just because you're not like hitting Jimmy Kimmel doesn't mean that you're not freaking incredible and that you're not doing amazing, amazing things and working super duper hard. Take stock of every single thing that you're doing and be really, really proud of what you're doing, because that counts. Every single little thing that you're doing for your craft right now matters later on.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Like everything you do is important. Not maybe that for other people, but for yourself. Like your
Mhm.
mental health and what makes you happy is the most important. And
Yeah.
my goal, like my dream is like my top goal for myself is to be on Ellen Pompeo's podcast. Tell me with Ellen Pompeo. That's my biggest dream.
I had no idea she had a podcast. What?
She started last year. You didn't know that?
No, but see, you know more about Grey's than I do at that point, at this point.
Yeah, she
So,
started last year. She just came out with an episode today, actually. She comes
well,
out with
okay.
episodes
I
every
need to get up to
Wednesday.
date.
Yeah, she came out an episode today with Debbie Allen. She was on Grey's Anatomy as
No.
well.
What a queen. Debbie
And
Allen is
Eric,
another
and
woman
she
that just
had
cracks me.
Patrick Dempsey and Eric Dane on as well.
I'm speechless. I'm totally speechless.
Yeah, it's my dream to be on it. Like I keep like texting her, be like, "Can I please be on your podcast, please? I would love to."
Yeah.
I literally text her every week or her like assistant, be like, "Can I come on Ellen's podcast, please?"
I just want you to know that I'm here.
Yeah, and whoever is in the industry that has connections to Ellen Pompeo, reach out to her and try to get me on the podcast, please. And thank you.
We're putting out all the energy, world.
Yeah,
Get
please.
Kylie on this podcast.
Yes, please do something for me. That's the only thing I want. So make this your count. Make this your count. You are not only in front camera, but you're also behind camera on the AV department. Is that right?
Yep.
What is it like for you to experience working behind the scenes instead of being in front of camera?
It's a little liberating. It's very, very different. I've tried to do both simultaneously. Horrible decision. Um, I working AD is just a whole other beast. There's a lot that goes in pre-production. Um, it's just a lot of organizing and um essentially it's almost like chaos management or like finding alternative options for like, okay, if this goes wrong, then here's up to plan Z in advance of what we can do, and knowing that you have all these backup plans and being able to realize like, okay, I can reorganize shots in this day if this needs to happen, or I can remove these shots, and having a really great connection and communication with your team. It's really fun. It's very energizing and draining simultaneously. Acting is a lot of empathy and connecting with humans, which is also very energy draining and rewarding. But ADing is just a whole other ballpark.
Yeah. But like what is like the hardest kind of part for you, like to work in AD like most of the time? Like when you say like did you say like you worked behind the camera and you like did acting at the same kind of movie or whatever?
Yeah. Um, what was so hard about ADing and acting is when you're acting, like you want to be thinking about your character. You want to be fully open to your other actor. You want to be relaxed. But then when you're aging, you're also having to keep in mind, all right, this is where we are in the day. Like, okay, the setup is taking this long. We should be at this point in our day. All right, we're running behind. What needs to happen for us to be able to stay on time? How much of a buffer do we have? How much money are we losing by blah, 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 blah? Do we have to order catering? Is the PA going to do this, this, and this? So you're having to balance a lot of different hats, which takes away from your actor brain. Um, and uh, and then your actor, like as an actor, you also have to think about like where is the camera at? And then my AD brain turns on of like, okay, well, Gaff like is Gaff setting up for the next shot and da 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 da. So there's just too many things going on in the brain for me to do a good job. And it was extremely stressful. And I think that was on the set of Thanksgiving with Ricky Jordan. Love him. Best. I love that man. Um, but I want to say about that was a 3-day shoot. Second day, we upped my PA to AD because I told Ricky, like, we're done. We're not doing that anymore. I'm gonna AD for the pre-production, and this first day I'll maybe touch it, but we're done. We're gonna actually have an AD on set that's not gonna be me. So yeah, learned my lesson very quickly.
You're like, okay, this is enough. I can't deal with this. Okay, I'm switching over.
Right, right.
Like I'm
It
the
was
person that can't handle too much stress. Like I can't do too many things at once. Like I hate it.
right, and my brain already has, like, way too many things going on simultaneously that is very hard for me to just boil down and focus on one thing at once. So when I have a job that's telling me to just multitask, it's just chaos.
Yeah.
It's pure chaos.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So you played Allie, Mamma Mia, is that right? In the theater production?
Mhm.
Like what was that process like for you to play that role in the theater?
Um, so Allie was fun. Um, I guess getting up into the role, just like at any traditional musical theater process, you have like your acting calls, you do a monologue, you sing. Um, I don't believe there was actually a dance call for that audition. I can't remember. That was a while ago. Jeez. Usually there's a dance call. But we I think we had about like 3 months of rehearsals in the evenings. It was a community theater, and the whole process is just really fun. You get to collaborate with a whole bunch of different creatives, creating your backstories. And Allie was Sophie's best friend in
Yeah,
Mamma Mia. So
yeah.
she's getting married, and we decided that Allie is the irresponsible friend, which is the best part. Is Allie's kind of a nondescript character in the show. So, and then she has her two best friends. So I was the irresponsible one, which was just really fun. We got to ham it up, bring up all these backstories, some secrets about the characters, how they ended up there, how they feel about each other. Um, and really just run with it day after day, actually producing the show. The great thing about theater is you react off of each other in real time, and it's all in off of the actual audience. So every show is just a little bit different.
Mhm.
And it's so so fun. Yeah, I'm just remembering the cast. Um, all the dads were just hilarious. I loved all of them.
Yeah.
It's a really fun show, and the
Mhm.
girls, like, everyone the 3 girls that we had, and all the girls of the show, like, we all got pretty close in the dressing room. We had, like, belting sessions as before warm-ups and singing Disney and stuff like that. That's a fun thing about musicals is you have so much rehearsal time and show time that you get to get close, unlike film that you don't get to rehearse, you just go into it, and the time that you get close to each other is if you have a long shoot and it's 30 days. That's when you get to know each other very well.
Yeah, for sure. Like I like it's like when you're acting here, it's like, okay, you're doing this, like do
Right.
whatever you want. And so like there's not a lot of people that bond over really, like since like it's a very kind of quick period of
Mhm.
like rehearsing or taping. And Mamma Mia is a movie that me and my mom watched together a lot. Mamma Mia is one of my
Aw.
all-time favorite movies. I beloved Amanda Seyfried.
Mhm.
I don't know if I said it right, but she played Sophie in Mamma Mia, and I'm obsessed with
Mhm.
her, and she's amazing. Like the whole cast, like no one played it better than cast in Mamma Mia. Like Meryl Streep, like
Ugh,
she's an icon.
Meryl Streep can do no wrong. I love I love a lot of the work that she's done.
Me too. She's amazing. Did you hear about Betty White a couple days ago?
Ugh.
Oh.
Too soon, too soon. I was heading to a gig and I arrived. I'd been on the road for like 5 hours. And I arrived at the hotel and they're like, "Oh yeah, and by the way," and I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I don't need to hear about this right now." I was devastated.
I
But
was so upset. Like she was
mhm.
literally going to turn 100 in a couple of weeks, and I was so looking forward to the way she's. I love her. The proposal, like she's amazing.
I was gonna bring up the proposal when they, faked I think her name was Gammy, they called her Gammy in
Yeah,
that film.
Gammy. Yeah,
When they faked Gammy's death, I was like, "Whoa, Rude. Don't do that. And
Yeah,
then
you're
here
just
we
trying
are.
to like date a little catcher, like trying to get people worried and just make a little laugh out of it.
Right,
Didn't
right.
it happen
She's
in real life
definitely
where you're like, "You gotta be kidding me right now, Betty White of all people?"
right. She's definitely left a legacy for everyone to hold on to.
Yeah, for sure. She's left like a lot of things on me. I can't hope to carry on with her
Yeah.
legacy and everything. But the final question for the interview is: what is your auditioning for a character? Like when you're auditioning for a character, how do you get into the mindset of the character when it's like a horror character, like it's like very like dark, and how do you usually get into those type of characters?
So it really depends on the audition, the character, how much time I have. So it, I've been really fortunate enough. That was something that COVID gave me the blessing of that. I've actually been able to go into a lot of technique classes and build my actor's toolbox. Um, and so I really pull a lot from like the Meisner technique. Viewpoints is more of a physical technique, um, and just a lot of different techniques that help me get into different emotional states. And if one's not working, then I pull from another. And I think really what helps me the most is defining what my character needs in the scene, what her objective is. And then it really for me boils down to just connecting to who I'm reading with, and reacting off of them. I'm definitely somebody that will I'll do my preparation if I really have the time, but I find that a lot of my best stuff, like I feel most confident and most grounded when I just get to be with somebody, um,
Yeah.
and get to just have a real interaction. So if I have the time, I love to go through my beats and a whole backstory and just really flesh out a character and who she is. But um, if all I get is a cold read and I just get to look into somebody's eyes and talk to them, that's that's enough grounding for me, to pull what I need.
Yeah, for sure. I am the same exact way. Like whenever I'm nervous, I always need someone to talk to get my mind off it. It makes me calm down. Like
Mhm.
these, I always when I'm doing these podcasts, I always like I want to do these every single day. Like I just love doing this. Love
Yeah.
talking to all these people and everything. I just can't get enough of it. I can literally do 10 interviews in one day. I don't care.
Yeah, it gives you so much energy because you get to pour into somebody else and then they pour back into you, and just the energy flow is just wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It means so much. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. It was so great talking to you. And
Sure
thanks so
thing.
much again. We'll definitely speak soon for sure. Thanks so much again.
Thank you so much, Kylie, it's so nice to meet you. Of
It's so nice to meet you too. Thanks so much.
course.
Bye.